Hi.
Hey, good afternoon.
Come a little closer so we can see both of us.
There you go.
Okay, can everyone hear us?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, yes.
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 All right. You've got that list there. Let me borrow that. Just start with probably easier with everybody in phase one that's on the call. If you would just state your name and lot number, if you don't mind.
It's our lot.
Who's doing the meeting?
Phase one, Stan Taranka, lot 13.
I'm Sharon Newman, lot 72R.
Jerry Klein, lot 18.
Anybody else phase one? All right, moving on. Phase two, anybody with us?
Bill and Jody Kramer, lot 62 and lot 42.
Lonnie and Becky Guidry, lot 64.
I'm sorry. I don't know what phase I'm in.
Yeah, this will be one of the phase.
Go ahead and just announce and give us your lot number if you can, or your address.
2436 Lower Bluff Way, Kelly and Patrick Stack.
Okay. Did you get that, Sue?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Same here. Andrew and Abby Kirby, lot 12, 2402 Whitetail Ridgeway. Don't know what phase.
Okay.
I can't believe that.
Stacy and Aaron Gardner. I don't know what phase we are or lot. We're on 2419.
Oh, you're right there.
2419 Smoky Vista Way.
Okay.
Al Bly, 2746, Cedar Falls.
Can you repeat that, please?
Outlight.
Eugene's tower, so. I was looking to say something.
It was,
Anybody phase 3?
Cheryl and Tony DiTullio, lot 91.
Anybody else? Let's move on to phase
Yeah.
4.
Jeff Conyers, lot 47. I'm not sure for phase 2 or 3.
Okay.
You have two lots.
Greg and Joni's.
Yeah.
Greg,
We have a
Joni's,
second. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Greg and Joni Sexton, phase 4, lot 117.
And this is Jeff again. We also have a lot in phase 4, 122.
All right, did we miss anybody? Sue can tally up and we'll look at the numbers on the Zoom call.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There's also me, I'm sorry. I guess I'm in phase 4, lot 103, Karen Peck.
Establish quorum with.
Yeah, because it only needed for the meeting is 10, so yeah, we got.
Okay, so we have, we've established a quorum for this meeting. I know the minutes were sent out, but what I would like to do before we get to official business, we have Steve Schmidt from the Waldens Creek Volunteer Fire Department. He would like to address the HOA for a few minutes in regard to fire safety. So I'll turn it over to Steve and then we'll get back to business.
Hi, good afternoon, folks. I really appreciate your time here. My name is Steve Schmidt, Assistant Chief with Waldens Creek Fire. Next to me is Marisol Martinez, Exterior Firefighter, EMR support. Just in looking at your community, what I can tell you is it's established extremely well compared to other communities we go into. You folks have nice wide roads. They're easy accessible. You have 2 ways in and out of the community, which is key. We're able to turn large trucks around. We've never had any issues in the community whatsoever, which is really good. In looking at the properties itself, I know that you folks are already taking steps and putting out no fireworks signs. That's a wonderful thing. We do have situations, we don't have burn bans. Burn bans are administered by the state. What we do is a burn safety or a ban on burn permits. However, we can't stop fire pits, right? I mean, people come here, they want to sit outside, they want to do a fire pit. I would urge your management companies and yourself actually that when you're up here, don't leave any burn pits unattended. Make sure that they are put out, because if we do get a call from a resident or a guest next door, we will come and we will put it out, unfortunately. With that being said, also, fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are extremely important, 1 on every floor, please. Even if you don't have any wood burning devices or any gas devices. It's extremely important. Check them yearly. Make sure that they are in working order. Your management company should also be testing your smoke detectors. It's quite important to have smoke detectors installed in all bedrooms, hallways, kitchen area, and dining areas. And a carbon monoxide detector on every floor, no higher than 2 feet from the surface of the floor. One other thing that we've gotten into recently have been grills, whether they're gas grills or charcoal grills. The care of these devices is extremely important. For the gas grills, your management company really needs to make sure that those gas grills are in proper working order and they're clean. We've seen situations where there's charcoal grills on decks. The people will go ahead and take the charcoal out and they'll put it in a plastic bag on your deck.
Give me a paper.
Consequently, what happens within 5 minutes, your deck is on fire. Make sure we have buckets, coal buckets that are sitting next to any charcoal grills that you have. If you have the ability to remove a charcoal grill and take it off of a porch or a deck, that's ideal. I know a lot of people don't like that because in inclement weather, they like to still cook outside. With that being said, we also look at things on the exterior of the home. So there are some communities that are known as fire-wise communities. These are communities where they've gone ahead and removed any trees or highly flammable plants from within 20 feet of the home. I know that in a lot of situations that may not be ideal and you want some barrier between the home, and that's fine. But you should also look into doing that, trimming trees away from the roof lines, if at all possible, and removing as much debris from around the house as possible. We're still in our wildland phase, even though you wouldn't think of it today, knowing that we've had floods and extensive downpours all night, but we are still in a hazardous time here. We just want to make sure that this community remains safe. It's done very well through many brush fires here. We actually did one in the community about 1.5 years ago, which was about 4 acres, and we managed to contain that pretty rapidly because of the accessibility of getting here. So with that being said, are there any questions that anyone has? If anyone has any questions, you can look at us on Facebook. You can go ahead and send us any messages through Facebook or call the station. We are manning it now. Actually, Marisol and myself are manning it Monday through Friday. We received a SAFER grant from the government, which is going to allow us for the next 4 years to do 4-hour shifts at the station and pay people to do that. So you'll know that now the response times will be even quicker than they were. Marisol and myself actually lived right down the street from you folks on McMahon Sawmill, and a lot of folks in this neighborhood can attest, we would respond instantly, regardless of the day or night. You're still going to be getting that, so not to worry.
I would say something on the plants for Firewise. There are actually plants and flowers. I know like I love plants. Like I want plants and trees around me. There are specific plants and flowers that are fire safe, in other words, because they retain a lot of water. So if you want to have vegetation around your house, it's okay. Just make sure that wherever you go to whatever garden center you get your plants from, you ask for those type of plants that retain water.
Mention mulch and pine straw around dwellings.
Yeah, so that's very good. That's a very good point. So mulch. Believe it or not, we've been to some areas where the management company has put down mulch about 4 or 5 inches worth, and it actually, in certain climate conditions, will begin to ignite, and it will set the porch on fire. Rock is a very good alternative. We don't believe in mulch or straw around the base of the home. It does look nice. You can buy the rubberized mulch, which is better. It's not going to ignite on you. People just in general have a tendency of being careless, okay? They'll go out on the porch, they'll smoke a cigarette, they'll drop it down into mulch, and before you know it, the neighbor's calling saying that the porch is on fire. These are kinds of safety things that we like to avoid and prepare ourselves for. So that's always a good landscaping alternative. I know rock is quite expensive, but you put it down once and it's going to last. That's it. You don't have to worry about it ever again.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What was the cause of that fire last April over on the hillside there in Sulphur Springs?
In Sulphur Springs?
It came into Cedar Falls just a little bit, but what
So
was the
it's the
source
one
of
you
it?
all fought from here.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so
we're not
far away.
sure exactly what the cause was. When we arrived, there was nobody that could really tell us how it started. So, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't know. Sometimes we do find out. The one we just did in Wares Valley was started by an unattended construction burn. They had left for the day and there was a little bit of plywood and 2x4s, and the winds picked up and it took one amber to go into the dry woods, and that was it.
And the one in Shagbark was electric.
Shagbark was electric. You know, that's something unfortunately we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We deal with a lot of utility emergencies, which are trees on the power lines. Okay, so with above ground utilities, there's not much you can do about it. The line comes down.
If there are trees that are growing in through the utilities, call the utility company.
And they will come out.
They are
and trim.
responsible for
Yes.
trimming them to making sure that they're not leaning too close to the power line. So that's a way to prevent that, because with a good wind, we all know how all these branches start falling.
Right. Any other questions? We're good?
Guys, I'd like to really thank these two for being here with us tonight. And it's, you know, it's things like this that we, you know, we don't dwell on, we don't think about it most times till it's too late, but do follow them on Facebook, you
Yes,
know,
please.
Walden's Creek Volunteer Fire Department. That is the key, is volunteer, that these folks are, you know, they're in our community, they're helping us, and they do fundraisers, you know, periodically. And please, I would ask everyone, if you don't support them, please support them, because you know, someday our lives may depend on them, and we want to give them all the support we can. But thank you both.
Thank you very much.
But the
Yes,
volunteers
thank you.
really do, because we give you guys a lot of pointers and we keep you informed of what's going on in the area. So when there's a fire, anything,
flood, today's
especially,
floods.
we keep the residents abreast of everything. Where
Right.
no others, well, they're starting to do that now, thank God.
Right.
Yep.
That
Search
was
them on Facebook.
And thank
Thank you,
you.
folks.
Like and follow.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that was informative for all of us. And the grill safety and the fire pit safety is huge for us here, because we do have so many overnight rentals. Fireworks, it appears, you know, is getting better. I don't recall any issues this past year with fireworks. So anyway, that being said, I hope everyone has had an opportunity to review the minutes from the last annual meeting. We need to vote and approve those. I think it's probably easier that we can all, if we, first of all, is there any questions about last year's minutes before we move forward? I would like to have a motion to approve, and everyone can just aye, and anybody that is opposed, if you would announce, please.
So moved.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion.
Aye.
Aye.
This year's, you know,
This will be the first.
Any opposed? Okay. So next, I'm just going to go through this real quick. I know Wayne's got a lot of information as far as projects. Kind of an overview of 2022. A lot of this will be discussed as we move forward with this meeting. As as things, age here, in Cedar Falls, we've had, several issues this year. I'm looking for the notes on, I'll just go through these real quick. If anybody's got any questions, for those folks that aren't up in phase 4, this is kind of, this will be, be like, what is he talking about? But Wayne has been instrumental in having the ditch work done. All the ditches have been cleaned, new rock, stone around the pond, the truck access roads. If most of you all already know that we have upgraded that and had it paved. We did have to replace the HVAC here at the chapel and the duct work. And I'm going to back up here a minute and just thank Larry and Sue Knutson both for the work that they do, and the board. A lot of effort goes into some of these projects, and it can take a lot of time. Larry's been very instrumental in upgrading the pump house in phase 4, because we've had several water issues this year. Most of it has been on the city of Pigeon Forge. And unfortunately, we don't know there's an issue until we're out of water. So part of the upgrades there in the pump systems, control systems, we are trying to make things as smart as possible, where remotely we're notified when there is an issue. So I won't go really into any more detail there, but that has been and is continuing to be done. New playground equipment, most of you have seen. Larry was instrumental in taking that task on. Chapel deep clean, interior and furniture was done this year. Larry's been very, very helpful in having security cameras installed at the bridge, the swimming pool, the pavilion, and the chapel. That we'll probably expand on as things move forward. A lot of new homes here, a lot of traffic in the summertime, and we've had a few issues, so the cameras hopefully will help. We have installed internet for the chapel and the pavilion. Part of that was for the security cameras, etc. Picnic table at the pavilion, and on the proposed projects, I know it's going to come up. A lot of you folks in phase 4 have. Thank you for your patience on the gate. It is on our radar screen. Historically, every time we've had the gate fixed, someone breaks it. So we'll cover that a little further in detail, but it is in the plan to look into a smart gate controller. One of the issues with the gate right now, just so everyone understands, the gate will have to meet current safety standards for ingress, egress. So there's a cost there, but that is on our radar screen for this upcoming year.
Will that be done as a separate item later on the agenda?
Yes. Okay. So that's kind of a brief recap of 22. There's probably a lot that I'm missing there, but that's really most of the big items that we've had to deal with. So At this time, I'll turn the floor over to Larry Knutson. He can give us a brief overview of the financials and answer any questions anyone may have on that.
If anybody can't hear me, let me know. I can move closer. The short answer is I did email out everybody the financials, so I'm just going to touch on 2022, just where we are. We did finish the year up with a negative of about $23,000, but keep in mind, of some of that was $26,000 was for the truck entrance. We've also had a tremendous rise in pool chemicals and some other support from the landscaping, and a lot of other just general pricing has gone up quite a bit, as I'm sure as everybody's aware of. So we did finish in, like I say, with a negative 23,000. Are there any questions on that? And then I'd like to just spend a couple of minutes on what's upcoming for 2023, but I did send everybody out a document and we did a price comparison all the way back to 2018, and you can actually see some of the cost by items as you go across there. Are there any questions before I go on to the proposed budget for 2023?
Yeah, Larry, I have one. You have $7,300 for insurance check for the covered bridge. Is that going to be the sum total of reimbursement for insurance?
Yes, what we've got is we got when the bridge was hit, they actually broke the beam, so the insurance is going to pay for the beam. But what I've done now is that, let me just look at that. Yeah, that was in 2023. Yes, so that we've outlaid that, and we got that back from the insurance. So we're pretty much awash on that.
Okay.
That's the uncategorized that you see there. Okay, so
thank you.
Go ahead. So for 2023, what we've, as Jack mentioned, and the board's been very helpful, and we put together a lot of proactive programs here lining up, of which we do want to put down new board area across the covered bridge. I'm not sure what you call that, Wayne. The deck that everybody drives on. We've also put some money aside for cutting back the in different parts of the development where the brush is coming from the side over into the roadway. We did do a couple of trim backs last year, and that was very done, so we want to explore that. Wayne will talk about some upcoming ditch maintenance. We've put money aside for that. We've also put money aside for the gate maintenance in phase 4, as Jack mentioned. We want to put a digital gate. We've got to get internet in there, so we want visual and cameras. So that way, if somebody does run the gate, at least we'll know time and place, and hopefully we'll get a license plate. We've also put some money aside for a kiddie swing set in the playground area, because the swing set we currently have, you know, is for young, but we're seeing a lot more mothers come with, you know, little toddlers. What else we got here? We've got repairs for the covered bridge. We talked about that, putting some decking down. Now that's just an estimate, but if we actually enact all of those programs, we're going to end up with a deficit of about $34,000 is what we'll have. That said, on the last page, the HOA has a positive balance of about $319,000 right now. But when we did an initial estimate for the road work, that was $607,000. So, and then if we do anything with the pool decking, that's going to be additional money. So one of the things that that's going to be happening here in July, according to the covenants, or DCR, we're going to be raising the dues well, it's going to be $68 a year or $34 a biannual. So that's kind of where we are. You can see the dues haven't really been raised since 2016. So I think we've got to stay current, because the last thing we want to do is go out and start hitting everybody up for, you know, immediate funds, special assessments. Yes. Any questions?
Yeah. Hey, Larry. This is
Go
Jeff.
ahead.
Hey, is your dues income that you have projected for 23 include the increase in HOA?
No, I have not put in the $34 increase. So that'll be 34 times 117. So that would, yes, that would then offset some of the negative 34,000.
And that'll go into effect July 1st. Through the restrictions, you're allowed to take annually the CPI from the previous July, which happened to be 8.5%. So we're able to increase the dues 8.5% over last year. Which
You're only going to take off. You're only going to take off about $39.78 this year off that deficit for only collecting the taxes or the raise for 6 months. So you'll be able to knock off about $4,000 off that deficit.
Correct.
Right. You're looking at about 30 grand deficit.
Yes, and and just one thing to mention, and I was getting ready to ask Larry. We are going to have some additional expenditure on the pool at startup this year. I don't have the cost together on it yet, but roughly it's probably going to be close to about $5,000 because it's just old. We need new filtration and a pump. So as we all know, things are a little expensive right now, but that will be done this year upon the pool being brought into service. So actually that deficit probably is going to go back toward the $35,000 mark moving forward in 23.
But you'll also notice, if you go back and look at some of your budget numbers back at 18, during the COVID time, I mean, a lot of things we did have a positive income. So I think a lot of those things that we're now catching up with us. So so I think financially we're okay, but if we want to keep making Cedar Falls the premier rental living area, we're going to have to be prepared to put some money back into and take care of our infrastructure and our programs.
This is Greg Sexton, and the fact that you mentioned that since 2016 we haven't had an increase, certainly a substantial one, and I realize that we have to have a certain quorum to make adjustments where we can make a bigger increase. That is something that I think that we all need to consider. I mean, the amount, and I've mentioned this before, the amount that we charge for HOA is ridiculously low when you look at the other places, not just in the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area, Sevierville, but across the country, it's low. And I just have a big concern that we have a lot of investment property that's going on now, investors coming in, they could care less about the future values as the rest of us who really want to make sure that we maintain that. I hope that we'll entertain going up much higher. A 30 some odd dollar increase it's not going to really help us where we need to be, in my opinion.
And I agree with you a lot. I mean, if you take the $607,000 to resurface our private roads here in the HOA. That roughly works out to about, I'm gonna have to do some math in my head here, right? But it's roughly about $3,300. So we've got to get ahead of that because some of our roads are degrading and we need to get that initial investment. And I'm worried about the numbers, and I'm also, don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think, we are long overdue for an HOA increase.
Totally agree.
Agreed.
Yes. That would we can only adjust legally according to the restrictions by the CPI by the previous July, which we've done. And then our intention, if we get, which it sounds like people are pretty much on board, is to do a special meeting perhaps to increase the dues further, because we're not able to do that on our own unilaterally. So we would have to have a special meeting called for that purpose, which I think seems to be heavily discussed for sure. So.
And if you do look at the YouTube or the annual meeting last year, we did kind of a quick vote, and everybody on last year's Zoom call was in favor of an increase. So I would expect you're going to see a special meeting to be called where we're going to be voting on a dues increase.
Great. I think it's in the best interest of all of us to, as you said, keep Cedar Falls like we all want it to be. So I hope we'll get that meeting set up.
Great.
Thanks, Greg.
Go
ahead.
Jack, sorry, this is Jeff again. Hey, Larry, are the total assets the 319, 193 on the balance sheet there, or are they the 319 plus the CDs?
Yes, those are the three. No, that's a total. What happens, the CD 123 total 234,000. And what they did was they matured, and then I didn't renew them because if we opted to do some of the roads last year, when we got the initial estimate, I didn't want to invest them and then pay the penalties. So that 234,000, if you can read on it, those monies are actually currently parked in the savings operating money, hence the 257,000. So we've really got, if you take out the road money, 234, we've got about 20,000 in operating, and we got about 50,000 in emergency. And that's as of December, is where we are.
Okay, so total assets are in the neighborhood of, 319,000 roughly.
Yes, for everything.
Okay, and so clearly we have that. I see down at the bottom the paving estimate that's 600,000 plus. I'm assuming that we're trying to save towards eventually needing to resurface, and I know there's been a lot of discussion on that in the past. And do we have a year or some point in the future here where we think that that's going to be, and we really need to get that done? There's a considerable gap between our total assets and what it's going to cost to repave in there eventually if we have to, and just wondering what if we have a plan on working towards that.
I'll touch on that just a little bit, and Wayne can certainly chime in here. What we tried to do was it was cheaper to have it bid as a whole versus piecemealing it. So naturally, if we piecemeal it and do a street at a time, for example, it's going to cost us a lot more money. One of the concerns with some of the roadways, and Jeff, you're well aware of this. I think looking back when originally a lot of these roads weren't top coated, so basically they were substandard and have been. So if as you're driving through, and a lot of the patchwork that's been done, a lot of that deterioration in those areas is because of that. So the cost on the paving estimate was substantially less because they basically bid the whole 3 miles. He did not break that out by street like I asked him to. I don't.
No, he just gave a total width, length.
Yep.
Okay, total, and,
Yep.
and depth.
So, you know, it's on the radar screen. If you know, if of course we're gonna address issues as they come, but I think overall at some point we've got to we're really gonna have to pull the trigger and pave it top to bottom.
Hey, Jack, he did give us streets, so we could probably do the rough math, you know, add them all up and then do them. You could probably go that way, but it wouldn't be accurate, but you'd get a ballpark.
Yeah, he did. He broke down the square footage on each street. So we discuss this every time we meet, and it's something that we know we're going to have to deal with, and there's going to be a substantial shortfall. And we all know petroleum's not going to go down anytime in the near future. So I'll move on from that, just so everyone understands that it is something we look at regularly. And Wayne can touch on that a little more because we do have some trouble spots.
And we've also went the lengths trying to get with the county road superintendent and various other people to see if we could get potentially the roads turned over to the county. We went, then you go to pretty good lengths of that, Jack, with Jonas Smeltzer, I believe.
Yep.
To try to get it so the county would take over certain portions of the road that might be up to county standards for the proper turnarounds and the cul-de-sacs and proper Ts. And we went through that avenue to try to turn the roads over to the county in order to save money and put the funds on the county rather than the HOA. But we haven't been successful in convincing the county that we can turn them over at this point. So.
A side issue which doesn't affect the cost at all is that I would like to ask if an option could be added to the any kind of quote to give the option to individual lot holders if they want to add their lot at the same time that all the roads are being paved. It would sure save the expenses and make them all seamlessly connect.
Good point. Good point. And for sure, as that approaches, we'll certainly communicate by email and let everybody know what's going on and when. You know, part of when we look at problem areas, and Wayne is a lot more knowledgeable than myself. One of the biggest problems that we're going to have to deal with, probably before the road is paved, is the bridge on Cedar Falls Way. We've had it repaired. It is in need of repair further. So that's something that really we've got to figure out. The problem, in order to fix the bridge, it's an ingress egress issue with everybody beyond. So that's going to be a very difficult project to have to deal with, and I guess for all practical purposes, it has a Band-Aid on it right now. So and with some of the flooding is certainly not helping.
Clarify what bridge that was. Some people might be confusing that with the covered bridge. You're referring to the bridge at the pond near the common area back by the chapel area, not the covered bridge. Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, yes, it is the it's the bridge next to the pond.
There's a culvert, 2 culverts.
Yeah, there's 2 culverts that have deteriorated underneath and are starting to cause some erosion problems there, but we're aware of it, and
we had a culvert replaced. Was it 2 years ago, maybe?
They just put a liner in it.
They put a liner and replaced the liner on the culvert.
And that was a big hiccup with the county too, because that road does not meet. It's too narrow. So that's an issue that we're part of the problem with having these repairs done is finding a capable contractor that's willing to do the work. That's been one of the biggest issues that Wayne has had to deal with, even with the covered bridge. Materials, when the bridge was hit, that was very timely on one of the beams. That is now in, so that will be moving forward here, hopefully within the next few weeks. So any questions on any of that kind of stuff? I know I babbled a little bit about it, but I think everybody needs to be aware of the roads. The road situation is going to become an issue.
Yeah, this is Stan Saranka again. I'd like to know what are we doing to build that road fund up? Last year we was down 23K, and this year it looks like we're going to be down 34K. Where are we getting any money at to build up this slush fund to build these, to redo these roads?
Well,
I'm thinking what's, if push comes to shove, and we have no choice but to replace all these roads, we're probably going to have to put assessments on all these lot owners to come up with the money. I just don't know where we're going to come up with the other $300-some thousand to meet this bill.
I'm going to be blunt. Now, this is Larry talking. We saved a lot of money through 18, 19, 20, where you can see, and that brought us up a lot. But as Jack mentioned, petroleum's not going down. I'm willing to bet if we went and got another estimate, the 607,000 would be higher.
Oh, no doubt.
And the question that we're going to have is everybody comfortable with us doing this in phases? In which case we can do one phase with the existing 200 and some thousand that we got, but then you offset that with some other costs. I would dare say what's more than likely going to happen, and this is again me, and again I want a fixed income. My recommendation would be to do a special assessment and basically get it all done. But again, this is a discussion among the board in conjunction with the homeowners that we need to have that full discussion on, because I think, like I say, we got some upcoming expenses at the pool when the liner's got to be done, or Wayne can talk about that. We've got to do some resurfacing. But I think in order to meet the paving requirements and get our roads back up to where they need to be before they start crumbling, I would predict we're going to probably end up having to do a special assessment. I'm going to be just blunt. And I did a cost breakdown, and if we increase the dues a certain amount, it would take us 20 years to get that money. But if we paid for it last year, if memory serves, it would have been roughly $3,300 special assessment for every lot owner. So that's something that's going to be called on a meeting, and I think there'll be a healthy discussion on that.
Jerry Klein here, a side issue. Right now, it looks like, from my experience driving around, is a lot of the new construction is causing a lot of tear up of the road. It may be because of the faulty subsurface or substrate that they put down or anything else. But if we put a new road down and the trucks come in and rip it up again, that's just going to be money down the drain.
And that's where I think a lot of these constructions, I don't know how many, again, Wayne, I don't know how many lots we got left unbuilt, but maybe that's where we look at a phased approach and we just say, okay, instead of 600,000, it's going to cost us 700,000 over 2 years. And maybe we offset that, but I think we need to do some real serious homework and keep an open mind in order to make this happen. And you're right, construction vehicles do cause undue wear, as do, you know, the freezing and the thawing and the hard winters. Until we get those roads sealed, they're going to continue to deteriorate.
Hey, this is Jeff. Do we have any, rough estimate as to Wayne? Do we have any rough estimates about when we really think this needs to be done? My thought is, if you have, say, we're going to aim to have it done maybe in 26. So it gives you 3 years and you can spread an assessment out over 3 years, maybe make it a little bit easier on folks. But I really don't know what kind of shape, honestly. I mean, they look okay when you're riding on, but I don't really know what I'm looking at. And Wayne, I know you know a lot better. Do you have any sense of timing on when we really need to have this done by?
I was going to talk about it when we get to projects part.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And two, if you don't mind mentioning during that time, part of the problem with waiting is it's going to cost more because you have to dig the old out and you have to build the base back, is been my experience there. So anyway, thank you, Jeff.
And I will say, if you look at the previous net incomes, I mean, we were in the positive 46,000, 34,000, 22,000, 43,000. So we built up a lot over a short period of time there. And this most recent year after COVID, we basically took on a lot of bigger projects that weren't road related all in 1 year. So that's why, at least in part, why you see this deficit. I think that we can build it back up. I don't think we're going to continually be in the red, but that being said, it is important to increase the dues by the 8.5 CPI, I think. But I agree with Jeff versus, I don't think it's I think it's an opinion for everyone to discuss really in detail, whether the best course of action would be to do them all at once or save up the money, or how we're going to fund the project over the course of several years, a few years. All right, is it you? I think.
All right. Any other questions on that? And we'll move on, and I'll let turn it over to Wayne and let him brief everybody on projects and things that the advisory committee has been dealing with. And I know there's probably going to be a few questions in that neighborhood, but I'll turn it over to Wayne.
Okay, I'm here and over on the side here. There we go. Okay, I'm sure everybody is curious about what's been happening building wise in the HOA in the last year since the last meeting. In phase 1, there's been 3 houses. These are finished or under construction. Phase 1 had 3. Phase 2 had 4. Phase 3 has 1. And phase 4 has 1. That's new construction or under construction. Now, for a lot clearing for building on those lots in phase 1, we had 3 lots that have been cleared. Phase 2, 1 lot, and phase 3, 2 lots. Now, we've had 2 pending construction plans. They've been approved, and so they haven't started building yet, but they're approved to build. We've done approved tree removal. That's over 7 inches at chest height on 5 lots. And then we've had many remodels going on. And I counted the remodels as on the decks, interior of the house, repairs, and building indoor pools. And of those, it's happened on 9 lots. And then exterior work and projects, and these would be building decks, fire pits, landscaping, a shed, garage, and this has happened on 10 lots. And then finally, I don't know if everybody was aware of it, but we did have the fire over there in Sulphur Springs in April. Was the weekend before the Hatcher Mountain, and it affected 2 lots in Cedar Falls. Okay. Let's see, advisory committee. Any questions?
Okay.
Moving on to project.
Now we're on to projects.
Expand more.
Okay, the proposed projects for 23. We talked about the covered bridge. The work involves replacing the damaged beam, which was a special order. That's what's taken so long. And we finally got the beam in. Then we're going to replace the decking. We're not just going to replace like the first 5 boards on either end, because those are the ones that are damaged, and reattach them. And then we're going to put decking that's parallel with the roadway on top of the existing beams, existing decking. So it'll take it from like a 2-lane, it's sort of a 2-lane now, but not really a 2-lane. And we're gonna make it a 1-lane. So you'll go across on those boards. There will be boards, and then there will be on the sides of the boards, there will be another board put down there so that those beams don't move. The planks don't move. So it'll be like, I don't know if you've gone to the covered bridge, the old covered bridge off the old Newport Highway. It's going to be like that on the deck. And that's supposed to be happening here soon. And then at the approaches, the one approach on the uphill side that is washed out, and water and everything else has fallen down in there and affected the piers of the bridge. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut back a 2-foot area and pour concrete in there. So you'll come down off the hill and land on that concrete before going onto the bridge. And that'll keep that's the reason that it's does the way it is now with the bang bang and all that, because of the weight of the cars coming down from the approach onto the bridge deck. Okay, in the pool, the filter in the pool has it's not working. Every time you turn the pump off and turn the pump back on, it shoots out a bunch of the sand in the sand filter. So that's got to be replaced. And then that pump, I don't know how long that pump has been in there. So we're going to replace the pump. Up at the pump house, there's going to be an upgrading equipment, installing new pumps, and buying an additional spare. Phase 4 gates, we're going to get a cost proposal to include procedures for gate operation, repair and replace the gate. We don't know if we can repair it or if we're going to have to replace the entire gate.
Can I make a comment on this point?
Yeah.
I have a suggestion to make. One of 2 options. One is to delete that whole item, remove the gate, and not have a gate. That would save us most of that money. Or else have a special assessment for the gate 4 people, because that gate doesn't do anything for the rest of the community. I know it comes up every year, every other year, but It seems like from what I'm reading, the notes that you sent around, and as soon as it's fixed, somebody runs in it or forces it open, so it's got to be fixed like every few months. And that just seems like a reoccurring expense periodically or continually that doesn't need to be spent at all.
Yeah, I would object to that. I think that when those people in phase 4, like myself, bought the property, that was part of the reason we bought our cabins in phase 4. And I'm not opposed to phase 4 paying certain assessments for it, but removing the gate, frankly, is not an option because that was part of why we purchased there. And if you had done the same thing, you would feel that way as well.
If that's a requirement, or you feel that's really a beneficial thing for that gate, phase 4, then I would recommend that we put gates on move that gate and put it at the front or the 2 entrances and have gates there then instead.
Yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to that. We've talked about that in the past, and I'm very open to that as well. But removing the gate, I'm not sure it would be an option for those of us in phase 4.
I'm sorry, this is more me being naive, but I am in phase 4, and when I bought the property, I thought the gates were just for looks. So what is the purpose of having the gate there? What does that do?
Get in there. Any rental people can get in there, and so I don't see. And that code is all throughout the place. Every rental people have it. So I don't, like I said, I don't see the purpose of that gate other than to impede motion at times for legitimate people.
I just thought it was for looks, so I like it. I wouldn't want it removed, but I didn't even know that it worked.
Well, it worked for when we first bought. It worked great, and it did keep people out late at night. And that was again it's a security gate, and it has something to do with the value of our property up there. No doubt about it. It's an antiquated gate, and that's why there has been a lot of problems with it breaking. But I think that the proposals that are out there to do the right thing, to fix it right, is what we should do. And I'm not opposed to a gate on all of Cedar Falls. I don't know what the cost of that involved, but many of these nicer places have security gates, and Cedar Falls certainly falls in that category.
Now, I don't have a problem at all with that gate. The problem I have is the 78% of the homeowners here shouldn't be subjected to have to pay for the gate. Now, I don't have a problem with the electricity, paying for the electricity, but we don't get any use of that gate. The 78% of the people, the rest of the people shouldn't have to pay for the maintenance or the replacement of a gate.
I second that.
Me too.
It's going to be open for a discussion, I guess.
Bill Kramer here. We were part of the original owners. Is when I remember that phase 4 was purchased, that gate was required because of blaylock or some kind of access. They didn't want to do the gate, or phase 4 really didn't want to do the gate, but it was required. I don't know if it's still required or what, but it's been a pain in the butt from the beginning. But initially, when Gary built phase 4, that gate was required.
I want to research.
So you might want to look into that.
This might be in the minute details, but the restrictions originally had separate phase 4 as a separate, and those were incorporated all together into one complete document, and those govern all 4 phases versus and deal with yeah. So the phase 4 was incorporated into the entirety of the other 3 phases, so it's all 4 phases.
We paid a lot more for our lots too. But I think a reason, this is Larry again here, but again, we've only been here a couple of years, but what I understand, a lot of the problem on the gate is we could never identify when it was broken and by whom. So before we move forward with anything, we did a whole assessment last year and identified a company that was going to come in and put a cellular in with cameras, gate access, and all that good stuff. But then to be blunt, the guy just stopped returning my calls. So I've reached out to the internet company, Xfinity Comcast, and we're going to pull another internet line there. And then we're going to come up with a cost proposal. So my recommendation would be to the board, before we go forward with any kind of repair or fix, we have a full cost estimate with actual accountability. So as people coming through the gate, if somebody rams the gate at 2 in the morning, we're going to be able to say who did it and where. But now something that we're going to have to go back to the owners on in phase 4 is if somebody rolls up to that gate at 2 in the morning and they don't know their gate code, what are they going to do? So this is all some of the little details that need to be worked out. But my opinion is, in the past, we were closing the gate early. We close at 7 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock at night, and then it would open in the morning. Well, a lot of the construction and a lot of the renters, they would just push the gate open and we wouldn't know. So we adjusted the time to shut it at 11 and then open it, I think at 7 or 5. And the incidents went way, way down. But then the thing just got old. It's no longer supported. You literally have to go to the keypad and put everything in. The software's gone, the motor's gone. So the short of it is, we've got to do a whole bunch more homework on it. So I would just ask people start thinking about it. And then we will come forward with a proposal. And with the board's concurrence, we'll get that out to everybody. And then we can make some real solid calls on this.
Somebody in detail, could they look at the HOA? Does the HOA covenant spell that out one way or the other? Or is it not even mentioned in the covenant?
To my knowledge, it doesn't specifically mention the gate itself. It mentions just upkeep, maintenance of common areas and things of that nature, which would encompass that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along.
Money, I think that's a lot of money when we're in deficit 30-some thousand to put on all the total of the land lot holders.
Great.
Okay, we have a project on the fishing pond between the lower side of the fishing pond and the creek. That bank has been eroding away. And so we have a proposal to put it's not really riprap, but put the rock to reinforce that wall of the pond before it breaks and everything runs out in the creek. On the paving, we have 3 choices on the paving. We can do it all at once, save up our money, do it all at once. We can do it in phases, or we can do bandage patch where it needs to be patched. And that's all going to have to be figured out. The bad portions right now are on Maple Leaf Way, up above Orchard Trail, up to where the road comes in from McMahon Sawmill Road. That stretch of road along there, and then on Possum Way, that's in really bad shape. And the other one is down here by the chapel, in the corner there in the bend. Those I don't know how much longer they have, but they really probably need to be patched within a year or so. Now, phase 4, the issue in phase 4 is it never had a second layer of asphalt put down. And so when it starts going, the whole thing's gonna go because it's up on that pretty steep hills and pretty steep grades up there. And the layer there is only 1.5 inches. So it's probably a pretty good thing that it's lasted this long. The one thing we could do is to do it in the phases, and that would be to do the main roads one at a time, and probably not even go off on the side roads, and that would be Smoky Vista at Cedar Falls Way, and to do the
crossing, is that considered the name?
yeah, that hill is pretty steep on going up Barrett Crossing, so
And-
probably a Bear Crossing, but
And I'm just going to chime in here. Please excuse me for interrupting. I think, in my opinion, just so everybody understands my point of view on the paving, if we piecemeal it and the board chooses to pave Possum Cove, then we've got people, we have homeowners on Maple Leaf that are going to say, well, why didn't we pave Maple Leaf instead of Possum Cove? So we're going to get into this issue of some people are going to get new pavement, some people aren't going to get new pavement as the road continues to deteriorate. I just think, my personal part, and two, you've got a trucking issue if we do the main roads and then do the secondary roads later. It makes sense to do the secondary roads first and then do the main roads last. So it's a little bit more complicated in my mind, and I tend to overthink things, but that's part of the issue of and we discussed this quite a bit. That's kind of my opinion on why we just need to pave it top to bottom. So anyway, thank you, Wayne. I apologize for interrupting.
yeah, and the other one that's sort of in bad shape is Bear Crossing. There in front of Jean's house.
Yeah, and it also adds to uniformity and value of properties and stuff. If it all looks like it's done the right way all at one time.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
And two, back to the road issues, our expenditure on me and Larry and Jay talk about this quite a bit, and it's kind of like being the school superintendent when you call off school when it snows. We err on the side of caution when we've got inclement weather coming. So that's been an expense that has gone up tremendous, is maintaining the roads during the winter. Part of the problem with having old pavement, when our guy comes in here and scrapes the road and this, that, and the other, it kind of compounds that problem a little bit. But just so everybody knows, this year, when we've had to make that call, we have been extra cautious to stay ahead of it because we don't want to get into a situation where it becomes a safety issue. So we're a little bit aggressive on the winterization issues with road care. So just so everybody knows, I don't know how it hit on the financials, but yeah. So thank you, Jay. That cost has gone up tremendous. So.
Okay. We still have the two poles on Laurel Bluff Way from when we had the landslide. So if anybody wants 2 telephone poles. Just take your chainsaw out there and cut them down and haul them away. Okay. And then we have the issue of overgrown roadways. I know on our street, they're out and hanging over out into the driving lanes. The trees after that snowfall we had last year, it knocked all those trees over, and there's some places where they really need to be cut back, but it's quite an involved operation. You have to get one of those weed eaters up on a loader or some piece of equipment to go up high to get them up at higher levels. So that's another thing that needs to be done. And anybody have any questions, other projects?
Wayne, are you talking about cleaning up the overhang on the common areas? Or are you talking about on the common areas and the homeowner's property?
We're talking about on the roadways.
Road right of ways.
Road right of ways, yes.
Yeah, but that's gotta be, that the trees gotta be on somebody's property, right? They're
Yeah, they're on our right of way. They're on HOA property.
okay. Cause I was gonna say, if it's like, if I had a tree hanging over on my property, it would be my responsibility, not the HOA's, to get that taken care of.
Well, I think what some people might not be aware of or might be confused at some point, some people, is that the property line does not necessarily start at where the edge of the asphalt and the grass or ground begins. There's say Cedar Falls Way, for instance, is a 50-foot right of way, and there's the roadway is say 30 feet. That means there's 20 feet, maybe 10. If it was perfectly in the center, it'd be 10 feet on each side. That belongs to the HOA as the HOA right of way. That's the responsibility of HOA to take care of. Now, if it goes beyond that into the property owner and onto their property, then that's a totally different story. But I come into a lot of people just aren't aware that the property doesn't start right at the edge of the asphalt. So.
No more questions? Okay.
That it?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Any other questions as we kind of move down the list here from anyone? And I'm going to go ahead and throw this out, and I'll thank Sue and Larry both once again. We have pushed on making the chapel available for rental. Of course, it always has been, but there's been no promotion there, and it could certainly help offset some cost around here. Sue has she's done an exceptional job in sprucing the place up and basically just dealing with weddings, etc. So don't everybody volunteer at once, but we do need a chapel and pavilion coordinator, correct?
Last May.
She volunteered because nobody wanted to do it.
Sue volunteered because nobody wanted to do it. And it's
Always glad for the help.
I'm reaching out for help.
The more the merrier, yeah.
And like I said, don't everybody volunteer all at once. No takers.
I think in the past, what happened for my time here cleaning it out, there used to be, I think, when more of the population was here permanently, a lot more seasonal events. So the chapel did become a little bit of a storage facility for other seasonal events, but there were some flowers. There has been some small purchases of new flowers, and we've got the chapel now up on the website. But yes, we could do with a little bit more help as more weddings and events. We had 2 weddings last year and a ladies group devotional, which was unexpected, but very nice to have the chapel used for other than weddings. And I haven't been coordinating the weddings. We just make the chapel available, and decorating it is fun, but it keeps you busy. We already have 1 wedding booked for this coming year, but yeah, as secretary, I'm getting the requests in emails and telephone calls, but if anybody wants to help or bring back some of the events that used to take place in the pavilion, I'm always open for help. That's my pitch now.
No, thank you. I kind of got ahead of you there in letting you, but
and similar to that, I would say if those who rent out their properties, if they have the opportunity or want to, you know, whether you're self-managed, maybe make it people aware that the facility is available for rent, or if your property manager may not be aware that the weddings can be done here. The more income we can get generated from that, it just makes it less burden on the dues in the future and easier on us.
How big is the chapel? How many people will it hold, and who do we direct people to get more information on renting it out?
There is information on the website. The chapel holds at the most 60 people. I'd say 50 to 60 people are comfortable. There is a sound system, although you don't need it if you're having a meeting or singing, really, but the sound system is very good. There is a bathroom and flowers that are provided, but the wedding parties that have used it have provided their own flowers, and then the chapel's flowers get put back. There is a charge, and the hope is that this does become a self-sufficient entity. We have had a cleaner. The chapel is on the bug guy's rotation. He comes and treats it for bugs. And with the fee for the chapel, which currently is $400, if you use it for a wedding or something, you get the pavilion for free. If you want to reserve the pavilion, it's $200. If you want the use of the chapel, you need to let us know to use the restroom. No alcohol. That deters some people from using the facilities.
Are you allowed to have alcohol in the pavilion, but it's not inside the chapel? Is that
Not
correct?
on the pavilion
Not on the
either.
pavilion
No, we're
either.
not
It's
liable.
an insurance.
It's an insurance thing,
Now,
but you know,
Again, you sign a contract that says no alcohol.
we don't police that.
I don't come down here and say you have beer or don't have beer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the weddings that have taken place here have been from renters, and they've gone off on to their cabins and partied there, from what I understand.
Is the chapel currently unlocked for, I mean, just,
No, it gets locked. The chapel, another reason why we had cameras installed, the chapel has been egged last year. And if you look closely, you can still see a few of the yoke marks on the front of the chapel, which is very sad. We are looking to do some cleanup of the pavilion, power wash the concrete, possibly next week with some students from the University of South Carolina who are coming here for a spring break visit, and repainting the grills. So that might be a little spruce up there in time for the warm weather coming.
Hey, Sue, you might point out there's a photo album of the chapel itself. You know, we have that on the website, so you can actually see, you know, what the chapel looks like inside and out, because you provided all.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, Al, for putting the photos on there.
Any questions? Any new business? Does anybody have anything that they would like to put on the board's mind for new business?
I'll say one thing. A gentleman had reached out either yesterday or today, multiple times in a couple of days, regarding the landscaper mowing, and we are going to open that up to bids for other contractors to take on. If there's anyone that has a suggestion based on their experience of, you know, maybe they cut their own private individual lawns that you'd like to have added to the list of people we'll be interviewing and getting bids from, please make us aware. We'd be happy to take those into consideration for sure, to try to get great quality, but still, you know, the current person has increased their fees somewhat, I believe is my understanding. And we would like to just make sure we get the best value we can, so.
I reached back out to Brandon.
Brandon?
He was higher than everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's Hunter Killian, I know, who lives over on Sulphur Springs Way, adjacent to here. He does several other cabin subdivisions. We'll be interviewing him and getting a bid from him, as well as Johnny McCarter, and what that a homeowner had suggested we interview and do. So if there's any other suggestions and things of that matter, feel free to reach out to us, please.
Jack, did you want to say something about keeping us updated on management companies?
Yes. I've actually got a couple of things here that I'll try not to, you know, babble about. We do have, you know, several new owners in the resort now. I would like that, did we haven't sent out an email on that? No. Okay. The board is asking everyone to please keep us up to date. If you self-manage your property, or if you have a management company, who is that management company, and is there a contact person at that management company that we can communicate with if we cannot reach you as an owner? We would like to keep that directory up to date. So when we do have problems, and we do, we know who to reach out just in case we cannot get a hold of you. So if you would please, you feel free to email that information. If you are, like I said, if you are self-managed, self-managing your property, let us know. A lot of times on self-managed properties too, If you ever need someone to put eyeballs on, so you hire the lawn care guy, and you're just assuming you're paying him every month to cut your lawn, and it's not been cut in 5 months. We're going to let you know, but if you need us to go by and take a peek, don't hesitate to ask us. So that kind of, on the HOA directory, that is very important. Sometime back, we approved bear-proof containers. We have had, and the issues with the bears this past year, as many of you already know, we have had quite a few issues. Part of those issues have been due to construction dumpsters being in the area. That is next to impossible to police as far as garbage being thrown into those containers. So my comment on the bear-proof containers, I think Jeff actually had sent that out a couple of years ago, right? One of the things about the bear-proof containers, if we're looking at the document, the restrictions, the board certainly understands that there are lots that you cannot hide that bear-proof container. We understand that. However, we have had a few instances here lately that those trash containers are being put next to the road. So one of the things that I'm going to communicate a little further with the board on is those trash containers need to be moved off of the roadway. In the restrictions, they're supposed to be concealed, etc. But like I said, there is, and if you have any questions about that, reach out to someone on the advisory committee if you need some help with that. I know the guy personally that builds those things, so a lot of times people just, you know, give Mike an address and he just goes and puts it wherever he wants to. Bear-proof containers, I am a huge fan of. I personally think I would like to see it as a requirement here because we have had some pretty serious issues this past year. And, you know, I understand it's guest responsibility to make sure that the trash is kept up, etc. But just please, if you're going to have one installed, make sure it is not on the roadway. Try to conceal it. If you cannot conceal it, reach out to the advisory committee and they will advise you on how to proceed there. I think that, does anybody have anything else?
We got to vote.
We have one board member that is up for that term is expiring, and I would strongly recommend, and please, everybody on this call, if you would like to participate and be a board member, please speak now, and we will have a quick vote on filling that board position.
And if anyone wonders the duties of the board member, it's not incredibly time consuming, in my opinion. Really, Larry and Sue do the brunt of the work, and I'm sure Jack too. But as far as the director's positions on the board, it's not extremely time consuming from my standpoint.
No.
It's not a overly cumbersome job. It's just decision making and working through things and trying to do the best for the community. So I don't think it's not something that you have to devote a ton of time to. So Just throwing that out there.
Jack, this is Greg Sexton. As I'd mentioned to you that I would be willing to participate.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Anyone else? Don't everybody volunteer at once.
You're wanting to run again, yeah? What's your thoughts?
I'm not anxious to run again. I will.
This is Stan Saranka. I think I'd like to be a board member also.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Can we expand beyond 3?
We could do 2.
Yeah.
We can do 2 up.
I think what we might be, I want to make it 100% sure in the restrictions, but I think as long as we have an odd number, we currently have 3 directors on the board of directors. I think we can expand that to 5, if I'm not mistaken, so we can have Stan added, Mr. Sexton added, and also keep Nelson, unless anyone had objections. I'm not an attorney here, I'll make that clear, but let me look real quick to see what I can find out about that.
Me and Jay talked about this a little while ago, and I think it would be very helpful if we could expand the board. You know, you guys own property here. You understand how we're growing. So I think Jay is correct. I think as long as we have an odd number, but he's looking it up right now. If you just give us a couple of minutes and
yeah, I see it here. It's in Article 4 of the bylaws, and it discusses the number, and it says shall be managed by a board of 3 directors who need not be members of the association. Further, there could only be 1 director from the same household at any one time. So, fortunately, it does seem like that is in Article 4, Section 2 of the bylaws.
Okay, can I make a recommendation on the bylaws? Maybe this is Al. Why? I would recommend somebody look at the bylaws and kind of refine them to the current environment, because if you read the bylaws today, they're aged, and you need to address the directors, how many and what roles, things of that nature. So it might behoove to just take some time and look at the bylaws, because they can be changed through owner vote. The covenants can't, but the owners can. A proposal can be made to the owners and make it more amenable to the board, to a board of directors. Just a thought.
Yeah, we're looking in to see what is entailed in order to modify the bylaws. These bylaws may be amended at a regular or special meeting of the members by an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the eligible votes at the meeting, in person or by proxy.
Right.
So my understanding, once again, I don't claim to be an attorney. I'm not an attorney. My understanding is based on that, those that are here at the meeting, either on the Zoom, in person here at the chapel, or have presented their proxies, are those who are able to vote on that. And if there are 2/3 majority approving that, an amendment can be made to the bylaws.
That's right.
Is my understanding.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is in, just so we have record of this, it is in the bylaws, Article 13, Section 1. So if someone would like to make a motion to amend the bylaws in Article 4, Section 2, to perhaps say something along the lines of 3 or more, as so far as the number is an odd number, I think would be appropriate, because I don't want to necessarily say 5, because in the future there might be we might not have the same participation level and we might have to go back to 3, but my recommendation would be looking forward to say 3 or more so long as the number is an odd number of directors or board members. What do others think about that?
Any comment from the group?
I think we should move on it. You can either 3 or more or up to, as long as the number is odd.
So we have a motion on the floor to amend the bylaws as stated by Jay Frad.
I second.
And I'll say that the attorney or someone will clear that language up to be more precise. In layman's terms, that is what we're trying to achieve. Yeah.
But wait a minute. If this is just a layman here, if we're going to have 3-year terms, by stipulating somebody's got a 3-year term and you're replacing somebody, wouldn't you have to have a limited number of 5? Otherwise, you say, well, come on, let's add more. So somebody doesn't have to come off.
That's a good point.
So make it 5. And then if we have the same situation another year,
Amend it again.
amend it again.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Very good point.
As a suggestion, well, I've done this with the local HOA where I live. You stagger your membership. You have one person 3 years, 1, 2. That way, the most you ever have off with the number of 5 is maybe 1 or 2 board members. So you always have continuity from year to year. So if you say 5, then you got to look at your terms by board member.
I still think we go with 3 or more.
3 or more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you guys sure you don't need a written vote? I think you might need a written vote unless it's, I mean, I live in New York and you need a written vote.
Yeah, we haven't even voted on it yet, to my knowledge. We haven't confirmed. Pardon me?
Yeah, so I'm a property manager for a living, so I know I read bylaws every day. But my understanding is that everybody would have to fill out a 1-page document voting to amend the bylaws. So you're looking to just discuss it at this meeting, right?
It's usually 2/3 of the total body.
It is 2/3, but you have to.
Voting can be done by proxy or by Zoom. Like even it said something I think about like online, didn't it?
So it might be different in Tennessee, but in New York, it has to be on paper. You have to actually write it down.
Yeah.
Well, if our bylaws doesn't say written, then it's done at a special meeting, which sounds to me like verbal if it's done at a special.
But no, but it's saying here, these bylaws may be amended at a regular or special meeting of the members by an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the eligible votes of the meeting, in person or by proxy.
Yeah.
And
Is that what we have today?
Yes.
So if we put a motion forward, we can make the change. We'll run it by the attorney to make sure the language and the commas are right. But can't we not vote on it today and then increase it to 5?
That's the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
You have Nelson, you have Jean, you have Wayne.
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
If we take on 2 today, their terms are gonna run concurrent.
So it's Nelson gone?
He's right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
James on.
2, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're doing a 3-year or 5-year?
3, it's always been 3.
It's always 3.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but I didn't know if we were changing it to cost.
5.
No, 5 people.
Five people per
I thought we
year.
had 5 and 5.
No, 5 people for 3 years.
No, 5 years. Ooh.
Somebody's drinking something that I wasn't drinking.
So we need 2/3. You took the roll call. Do you recall how many people were present for the vote? Do you have that number?
We had 21 online and
we had, I believe it was 13, either present or proxy. We got to subtract Jeff's because he did actually.
yes,
He's on the
full-
meeting.
yes, we've got
13. So we had 15. We had 13. either here present or accounted for in proxies. So we have 13 plus what? I'm sorry, 21. Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
So we just
No,
passed.
no opposed.
Right.
All right.
We might I don't want to be really technical, but we should probably make sure we reach the 2/3 threshold in the ayes, just to make sure, because some people could be abstaining by not voting, just to make sure. Does anyone in this room, is anyone here say no? So that's 13 right here. And we need to get to 34, so 2/3 of 34.
22 or 23.
20, yeah. Yeah.
Was there any opposed? It was fine, not voting, so. If they're saying, I agree with Jay, we need to vote, in other words, count numbers.
Yeah, so we need 23. So we have 13 here. Jeff, have you weighed in, Jeff, Mr. Conyers?
Nope, I'm a yay.
Okay, so that's 2 votes. So that's up to 15, correct?
I'm a yay.
Okay.
I'm a yay.
17,
I'm a yay.
18,
Yay.
19,
Yay.
20.
Yay.
Well, I'm sorry, did Kramer say yay?
We
That
did.
was
Yeah.
That was 2. They have 2 lots, so you had to add another one. That's 21. Okay.
I'm a yay.
22.
Yay.
All right, I think we have a 23 then. I think we have the 2/3 necessary to pass that.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I was running out of fingers and toes.
Okay, so Stan and Greg.
2 people to vote
Actually, 3.
on? 3, me.
So we have, after that vote, we have,
The capability of electing additional.
yes. So do we need to, we can do that all at once, correct?
My understanding.
We have 2 volunteers and
Nelson.
Nelson's position.
Unless anyone else wanted to step forward, they're more than welcome to. So.
Does anybody else want to step forward and throw their name in the mix for the board?
I didn't hear anyone, did you?
I didn't hear you.
No.
Okay, did not hear anyone. Is there a text comment? I didn't see it. Oh, it was just the formal aye on the vote there. Perfect. So I guess based on that, we will just vote for I guess it wouldn't even need it. Just any vote would be an affirmative, because we can fill up to 3 positions for Nelson.
Nelson, Greg, and Stan.
Yeah, so.
All right.
I make a motion that we accept all 3 candidates for the board.
We have a motion to accept all 3 candidates for the board. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you,
That's
everybody.
good. I really appreciate the extra participation. I think that makes it good. And I think it's good we have a mix of some people in phase 4, some not in phase 4. It's just overall good people, hopefully. I mean, I know they're good people, but a good.
Can I see the bio of the document there for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you both. And I want to share this with everybody, and please, if you do not have a copy of the covenants and restrictions, go to the website and grab it. As we're talking about responsibility of board members, I want to make everybody aware of Article 5 under the enforcement. And what Article 5 says, and where I'm headed here is, if you have an issue with a neighbor that it's under construction and there's something going on, I would like to ask everyone to communicate with your neighbor. A lot of folks are out of town, construction's going on their property. They may or may not know, you know, how things are going, what's going on. I know we have issues with dumpsters, etc. Those things are very difficult to deal with sometimes, but under Article 5, it does say that any owner shall have the right to enforce as herein provided, or any owner shall have the right to enforce by any proceeding at law or in equity, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's stating, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Read it for yourself, but you as an owner have every right to reach out and just let somebody know, let your neighbor know. We've had time and time again that we've had issues on construction sites that many owners that were, you know, homes were being built, etc. They just didn't know what was going on. And more times than not, those things have been corrected. But the tendency is to reach out to one of us and let us handle it. Well, sometimes that doesn't happen timely enough to suit everyone. So I'm just asking everybody to please help us in communicating with your neighbors. And if that doesn't do any good, certainly reach out to somebody on the board, and we'll help you address the problem. We've had a lot of comments about appearance of property, lawn care, those issues. It's in the document as to how that is to be done, how your property is to be maintained. A lot of out-of-town owners, they just don't know. So reach out, let us know, let them know. Communication is certainly helpful for everyone, and it takes a little bit of the burden, especially with Wayne. It takes a lot of burden off of Wayne trying to chase some of these issues down, when it's easy enough that we can all just communicate, you know, email, phone call, whatever. Okay. Any other issues or items that anyone would like to discuss before we adjourn?
Just a quick
Hey,
question.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Just a quick question. Do we have a place where I have a hard time finding contractors. I use American Patriot, and sometimes they can find me people. I find that a lot of contractors for various things are slow. And I just have a hard time finding good people. Like, I'm currently looking to replace my first floor deck, and I have one quote, and I'm really trying to find a second. Is there somewhere that we centrally put good contractors so we can share that information?
Yeah, that's a very good point, a very good question. We do have that on the website. It's fairly dated from my recollection. We haven't added new people to that list. There's been, some of the people that are board members here have pretty vast construction experience, and will be able to point the direction towards some contractors they've had good experiences with in the past, I would say, especially Jack. I've built 4 cabins here. So, I mean, I'm not in Cedar Falls, but in Sevier County area. So I think that's a great point. I'd like to add that list. And if other homeowners have had great instances of, you know, subcontractors or people working handyman, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it to us. We'll be glad to post a review or put their contact on the website.
And then we did send out an email asking for people to make recommendations, everybody from builders to landscaping to maid care. And I got one response. So it's only as good as we put the effort into it. So if you have somebody that you want to recommend, please share it, because then we can all benefit from it.
So I know, even, I believe Becky and Ronnie Guidry are in this call, and I know they've had some good experiences with some folks. So anyone that wants to chime in and someone that does a great job, that'd be beneficial.
Did you say
Kelly,
you were needing a deck built?
Yes, I need, my wood is rotted. I need a new first floor deck completely replaced.
If you want to, you can reach out to me personally, and I'll send you some contact info. Just email me at jackmaples@iCloud. That's the easiest one to get me by.
Okay.
Yeah, reach out to me and I can help you with that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Kelly, this is Greg Sexton. We just had some major extensive work done on both of our decks, and was very, very impressed with who did it. So you reach out to me, and I'm familiar with your deck there because I used to own Mountain Splendor.
Oh, how funny.
Yes.
Perfect. Can you just do you mind just dropping your email in the chat?
Sure can.
Thank you. By the way, I looked everywhere and I had stone put in the front of our yard. We're on like a hill, and I had to go to a million people to try to get the answer because I was using straw. The straw kept washing. And then with the fires, I was really concerned about how flammable it was. We were going to switch to wood chips. Wood chips are a little bit better. Obviously, I heard you speaking earlier about stone and how that lasts forever. It's expensive, but if someone's interested, I finally found someone, and I think it came out great.
Okay,
so I can share that. I can email that information.
Great.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you could email one of us, we'll make sure to upload it and get it on the website for others to.
Yeah, get it to me or the secretary. We'll get it.
Okay. I mean, it just takes a long time. You have to like keep following up with people. I don't know if that's a Tennessee thing or what, but everyone's kind of slower, which is nice, but.
Well, and two, I think most everyone's email address is on the HOA owner portal on the website. So, things like that. One thing that we don't have that other HOAs have, and I'll apologize, I don't have time to do it, but many HOAs have their own Facebook group. We do?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I should get on Facebook someday.
It's not extremely active, but we have
and Twitter
like
and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I don't have I can put it in the chat maybe.
Yeah, Jay can put that in the chat and things like that. Maybe. I don't Facebook, but I know a couple of people that do, but yeah, we can put that in the chat and things like this. If you need help with something like a contractor or what else, post it on Facebook. Because I'm sure, a lot of, there's a lot of help out there and it's difficult to do from out of town.
All right, here is a link to the group, the Facebook group. So.
It's got 55 members.
56 now, as soon as I learn how to log into my account. I have an account, I just don't know how to get to it.
I'm trying to get Larry an account.
All right.
I just want to clarify one statement, just because the liability thing jumped up and I was sitting here. On the comments, we do want you to advertise the chapel and the pavilion on the contract. And as the owners or the people that are renting it, they do sign, and I just want to make sure that I'm not endorsing alcohol at the pavilion or at the site. I just want to clarify that, because if something does happen, their contract is the binding document. So I just want to make sure I was not, I don't want anybody thinking I'm endorsing any type of alcohol on premise, because our insurance is totally revoking on that. So, yeah.
lost my train of thought.
Adjourn.
Yeah. Thanks, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Jeff. Before we let everybody go, I just wanted to say how much we appreciate you guys. I know this is all volunteer, and you and Wayne and Jay, Larry, Susan, Nelson, and Gene, we sure appreciate all the work you guys are doing.
Thank you, Jeff.
I want to second that. And for those of us that are not there all the time, the information that you gave us during those times when there were some crises going on in the area, you have no idea how much that meant to all of us. And the work does not go without being recognized, I can assure you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate that. And I will thank Larry again, and Larry's relationship with the Waldens Creek Fire Department. Just so you guys, Larry's been so helpful to those guys. It's incredible that just to have that relationship with those folks is pretty heartwarming, because they struggle, because a lot of the problems we have in our area are due to other people's neglect, tourists. And yeah, Larry's been very, very helpful to the fire department, and our relationship here in Cedar Falls with the fire department is very important. So if there's nothing else, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Jack, real quick, I want to take this time and thank all you people for, especially the board members, for changing the bylaws to allow Greg and I to join on the board. And I want you to know that I would work my hardest to make this community great as way it is already, and be looking forward to working with everybody else.
All right.
Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Stan.
All right, I'll second the motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.